problem with the white man's coming to the use of language prematurely. Because the word universe says nothing about the stars and galaxies and things like that. The word is saying that something is one verse. So when we dig into the dictionary, we find that the word verse is another way of saying one idea, one statement. You see? So the word universe is saying that these things, all of these things in and as the world is one statement. Meaning it's a unity. You see? You have not yet seen the unity unless you can trace how all things in this world are united to each other. You see? And that unity is in the metaphysical region. That unity cannot be perceived through your five senses. You have to exalt your consciousness through meditation and rituals and things like that to the higher part of your being. You see, to then now see the interplay of these causal agents. Listen, we can see the unity between different elements by looking beyond the molecular level, beyond the atomic level, by looking at things from the level of electrons. You see? I got that idea by looking at one of the walls from this children's notes upstairs. So this thing here about, African people being backwards and primitive because they were polytheistic people, it's just not merely a cheap shot at black people and people of color, the Indians and the Orientals and so forth. It is really a revelation of the white man's lack of understanding. Okay? As a matter of fact, in page 51 of the Nefer, just for the record, there's a book called The Book of Knowing the Transformations of Ra. And this book was written down around 2150 before Christ. That was before Abraham was born and about 1,000 years before Moses was born. And if we're into our biblical history, we know that Western monotheism begins with Moses. Okay? It begins with Moses. As they said, he was schooled in all the wisdom of Egypt, so we know where he got the idea about monotheism. But the problem is that, you see, the faulty understanding of monotheism comes through the Judeo-Christian, avenue here. It is they who misunderstood what they learned in Kemet. Because in the book of knowing the transformations of Ra, it is stated explicitly, it's written down, and it's in the museums, in your bookstores and so forth. It states that, the creator of the world was one before anything was made, was all alone. You see? Established a foundation in its own will, and by its own will made the world. You see? Through words of power, it created the world. And out of God one, myself, came God two. And out of, God two became God three. And out of God, these three gods came the multitude of beings. Meaning that 2150 BC, there's a record when that book was written, what was being written was acknowledged to be even much older. You see, was already ancient knowledge to the Kemetic people. But I just want to let you know that, you see, we are on record to have a monotheism. But a monotheism that is understood as a multiplicity unified by a supreme being, or unity within the midst of multiplicity. As a matter of fact, this thing about unity in the midst of multiplicity is one of the biggest quests of modern science. Physicists are going crazy trying to develop what they call the unified field theory. They're trying to find a set of symbols that they can apply consistently across all disciplines. You see? That would explain all of the structural elements of chemistry, physics, mathematics, etc., etc. You with me? So that all scientists could speak the same symbolic language. So that if you want to learn chemistry, you automatically know physics, you automatically know mathematics, you automatically know grammar, you automatically know biology, automatically know physiology. You understand what I'm talking about here? Please, my brothers and sisters, master the Monotheism Volume 1, and Volume 2 is coming out in a few months. Because once you do that, you'll find that we have already the unified field theory. It's called the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is a system, you see, that gives you 10 fundamental symbols that are the structural components of all things in and as the world. And once you master it, you see, you can understand any and explain and predict in any subject matter that you work in. You see? In this presentation, the Tree of Life, of course, took man as its main subject, because the African people thought that there was no higher object of study but the knowledge of self, which made some people believe that the Tree of Life was only speaking about man. You understand? So, once we understand that monotheism deals with how we find unity through multiplicity, then we will understand the word monotheism is synonymous with the word one verse or universe. It is synonymous with the word gestalt, elevated to that level now. It is synonymous with the unified field theory, uplifted to the level of the Tree of Life. Because one of the things that Kabbalah, the cosmological, the word Kabbalah is not a Jewish word, by the way, okay? But the Jewish did not invent that language, did not speak that language originally, okay? The so-called Jewish or Hebraic language is the language of the blacks of Canaan. And the Canaanites are walking the earth again, and they're bloody mad about people stealing and perverted and distorting their great heritage. Canaan lives, let them know it. You know? And when they lost the land, they did a voodoo ritual on the land, and that's why there's no peace, and there will never be any peace until truth is recognized. But that's a different story. But the word Kabbalah comes from the Canaanitic verb kabal, to receive. Is it? To be receptive. Receptivity in its highest sense speaks about the trance state, the meditative state. When you master meditation, then you receive instruction from God. You see? There's a way of using the mind and thinking that is superior to logic. And that is cosmologic or holistic logic. That does not assume the truth of a premise, but knows how to ascertain the truth in a premise. So the thing is that you have to understand, the Kabbalistical method is one of finding, what words are synonymous, what realities are analogous to each other. So you will understand more what I'm saying, that monotheism, properly understood, the bottom saying as, a belief that one supreme cause